Today, we're going to be learning about adding positives and negatives with the epic battle of numbers featuring the positives versus the negatives. So just like we talked about yesterday in class, we want to think of positives and negatives as opposites. And when we have two things that are complete opposites, they can cancel each other out. So first off, I have a positive 5 and a positive 3. So if I wanted to represent that, I'd represent that with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positive soldiers. But then notice that I'm adding another positive 3 soldiers to it. And so I want to think about if this is a battle or if this is a party. And I would say this is a party of 8 positives. So 5 plus 3 gives me 8. Now let's try another one. So now I have 2 negatives. So I have 2 negatives. And then I have another 3 negative guys. And again, this is just a party because I have 5 negative guys, but no positive guys to fight it. So negative 2 plus negative 3 also gives me negative 5. So I just add up how many I have. Okay, next I have 5 plus negative 3. So I have 5 positives. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And I have 3 negatives. 1, 2, 3. Now what I notice here is I have some guys that cancel each other out. I do have a battle this time. Now anytime that you have two opposites, they make a 0 pair. So they cancel each other out. So I end up having 3 that cancel each other out, but I still have 2 positives left over. So the positives went out by 2. So 5 plus negative 3 gives me positive 2. Okay, next I have negative 4. So 4 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 3 positives. 1, 2, 3. And I end up having some 0 pairs here too. I have 3 pairs. And so when I pair them up, what I see is that I have 1 negative guy that's left over. And so since I have 1 negative, my answer for negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Okay, next I have 3 positives and 3 negatives. So this one's an even battle because I have 3 of the positives, 3 of the negative guys. And so that makes 3 0 pairs. Now if I have 0 pairs, that means nobody's left over. So this was a battle and I had 0 left over. So 3 plus negative 3 gives me 0. And we saw that yesterday in class too. Now next I have 2 positives and I have 5 negatives. And so what I see is that I end up having 2 0 pairs because only 2 sets of guys pair up. And the negatives went out because there were more of the negatives than there were of the positives. And so I end up getting 2 plus negative 5 is 3 negatives, so negative 3. Okay, we got another one this time. This one's going to be a party, not a battle, because I have 5 negatives. Then I have another 3 negatives. So no positives even showed up to the fight. So I have a total of 8 negatives. So my answer is negative 8. Next I have 3 negatives. 1, 2, 3 for negative 3. I have positive 2, so 2 positives. And what I notice is that I have 0 pairs. I have 2 0 pairs. This was a battle because I had people who came up to fight. And I have 1 negative left over. So negative 3 plus 2 gives me negative 1. Next, we have 4 plus negative 1. So that means I have 4 positives showing up, but I only have 1 negative. So since there are more positives than negatives, I know that the positives are going to win out. I end up with 1 0 pair, leaving me with positive 3. 3 left over. And we're going to skip the last one. So now what we're going to do is try a few of these examples of adding negatives and positives, and we're going to think of this the same as we would think of a battlefield. So with this first example, I see that I have -5 and -4. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives. Then I have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or just 4, sorry, negatives. And so that's going to leave me with a total of 9 negatives. So my answer is going to be -9. Now another way that I can represent this is on a number line. So I know that -5 starts over here. So I'm going to draw a line from 0 to -5. That's my first number, but then I know that I'm adding -4 to it. Now if I'm adding -4, I know my negatives are in the left direction, so I'm going to go 4 more to the left. I'm adding 4 more negatives on. So 1, 2, 3, 4 puts me at -9. So another way that I can find my answer is by using a number line to represent it. Now over here, what we can say is that -5 plus -4 is 4 units from -5 in the negative direction. And you can fill that in the negative direction. I'll just put NEG for negative. Now the next one we have -10 plus 4. So when I represent this on my battlefield, I can say I have 10 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I have 4 positives. And what I notice is that this is a battle because I have both positives and negatives. So I end up with 4 0 pairs right here. They cancel each other out, and what I'm left with is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives. So my answer here is -6. Now if I did this number line, I would start with my arrow at -10, and then I know that I'm adding 4 to -10. Now +4, that means that I'm adding 4 to the right in the positive direction. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's going to take me to -6. So what I can say over here is that -10 plus 4 is 4 units from -10 in the positive direction. I'm just going to put POS for positive. Now next, I have 4 plus -4, so I'm going to put +4 on my positive side, and because I have different signs, I know that I am showing up to a battle. So it's not a party, it's a battle. So I have 4 positives. I also have 4 negatives. And what I notice is that all of these make 0 pairs, so they all cancel each other out. Now if everything cancels out, then all I have left is 0. Now, if I were to draw this on my number line, I would say that I'm starting out with 4, so I'm going to draw an arrow until I get to 4. But then I'm going to add -4 to that. Now, -4 causes me to go to the left 4 units because I'm going in the negative direction, and so I end up back at this chart. So to answer this, we would say 4 plus -4 is 4 units from 4 in the negative direction. So it's going to be 4 units from 4 in the negative direction. Okay, with the next example, we have -3 plus -5. So we've got a bunch of negatives, so we're going to end up not having a battle, we're going to have a party. So nobody's going to cancel each other out. So we have 3 negatives, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives. And so what I see is in all, I have 8 negatives. So my answer would be -8. So when I have a party, I'm adding up how many negatives I have altogether. Then I'm taking -3 plus -5. So from 0, I'm going to go down to -3. And then I know that I'm adding -5. So that's going to add 5 more, but in the negative direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then to answer the question, to the left, negative 3 plus negative 5 is how many units from negative 3? It's going to be 5 units from negative 3, and that's going to be in the negative direction. So I'm just going to write an N for negative. Okay. So now we're going to look at just a couple more examples. We'll do the first one together, and then I'm going to have you do the last one on your own. So negative 4 plus 10. So this one's going to be a battle. So I have 4 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 10 positives, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 10 more after that. 5, 6, all the way to 10. So now I have all 10, and then I'm going to group up my 0 pairs. I see here that I end up having 4 0 pairs, and so that means that I have 6 remaining, 6 positives. And so my answer for negative 4 plus 10 is positive 6. Now if I were to represent this on a number line, I start out at 0, I count until I get to negative 4, and then from there I want to add 10. So I'm going to add positive 10 to it. So that means I'm going to go up to the right a total of 10. And I'm going to end up, I see, at positive 6. Now notice how it ends up going in opposite directions, both of my arrows. So I could say negative 4 plus 10 is going to be 10 units from negative 4 in the positive direction, because 10 goes to the right. Now the last one, we're not necessarily going to show this with all of our numbers because this is going to take a really long time, but let's think about this for a second. If I had 82 negatives and then another 7 negatives, that would end up being a party. I'm not going to have a battle because both of those are negatives. Now just like in the other ones with negatives, what I saw is that I ended up just totaling up how many negatives I was going to have. So if I had 82 negatives, and then I had another 7 negatives, wouldn't I altogether have 89 negatives? So that would give me negative 89. Now with my number line also, what I would see is that I would start out at negative 82, and then I would go down another 7. So I go 7 to the left. And so that would also put me at negative 89. I'm not going to have you draw that one in. So we would say that negative 82 plus negative 7 is, sorry about that, 7 units from the negative 82 in the negative direction, because that 7 makes us go negative. It makes us go to the left. So now what you can do is use what you found in this worksheet to complete your digits homework. Your digits homework is 4-2 homework. Thank you.